Join Dalton and Jacob as they discuss the ever-changing world of trading card games. TCG Buzz starts now.
Hello, and welcome to TCG Talk. My name is Jacob, and I'm introing us because Dalton's not here today and said he's been replaced by...
the one and yours truly, Bryce.
That was so smooth. So smooth.
Yes.
Bryce is joining me today. If you don't know him, this is Bryce. Also, I'm Jacob, and this is our third episode of TCG Talk. Not that it matters. And we are talking today about a subject that I'm incredibly interested in because it's kind of consumed my personal life recently, right? And Dalton didn't want to be here because he doesn't like Pokemon. I'm joking. He loves Pokemon. He just doesn't care about the card game. And Bryce was a sucker enough to join me for it. So what we're doing today, and you know what? Actually, before I do that, please, if you haven't done so, make sure to subscribe to the channel because my life is only validated by that single number.
Oh, come on. The subscriptions is also your favorite thing. Kind of like YouTube friends.
Like and subscribe and blah, 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 blah. So what I did was I have been incredibly interested as of late in collecting Pokemon cards, which is weird because I actually think the gameplay of the Pokemon trading card game's pretty terrible. It is. I mean, you guys can go back and watch the old TCG tier list video I did. You remember that? Yeah? I did not rate it very highly. And by the way, all those opinions, except for one, are my actual opinions on card games. It's up to you to figure out which one was wrong. Do you know?
It was probably the magic one.
Nope. Leave a comment on this video if you watch that video and you know. Anyways, I've been extremely interested in collecting the Pokemon card game. I think there's a lot of really interesting stuff there. For two reasons. One, it's just really fun. It gives me something to do when I'm so lonely. And two, I think, and some people aren't going to like even that I'm bringing this up, but I think it's a really good investment if you're looking to increase the worth of your cards. There are always going to be people who specifically buy card games to make money, right?
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying I'm necessarily one of those people. In fact, I'm probably never going to sell any of my cards. But
Just has a binder full of paradox engines.
right, I'm very into maths and statistics and economics. It's one of my side pastimes, you know, I'm a nerd, right? So I love looking at that type of stuff, and I can't help it. Whenever I get into something, it's, well, how's that go? You know, blah, 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 blah. And card games are so special because there is money to be made there. As seen with your most experienced game, I'd say, Magic.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And your second most experienced game, Yu-Gi-Oh! Both of them, there were, at different points, a lot of money to be made if you were smart.
Yeah, unfortunately, you have to be pretty fast on it. Otherwise, you
Yeah.
just lose it immediately because, oh, look, the card gets banned immediately because we made it overpowered and then, well, oops.
Let me be clear. I don't recommend just someone out there being like, yo, I want to make money, so I'm going to invest in card games. That's a bad idea. If you really want to do that, go buy stocks, you know. If you're purely in it for money, don't do it. I'd be collecting this stuff anyways. So, and I like to see the value of my things increase. I don't want to buy a collection of rare Pogs or Beanie Babies, and then 20 years later, you know. So what I've been thinking so much about recently is I spend tons of time on eBay looking at what I purchase or want to purchase, but also what other people have been buying. And I've come up with a list of 5 things you should be buying that are from the Pokemon TCG that will absolutely cross my heart. I cross my fingers. That's not the right sign. That's the exact opposite. Will go up in price, in my opinion. Please note, I'm not an actual economist or financial advisor or anything. I'm a stupid 23-year-old. But I think this would be fun. So don't take anything I say as fact. In fact, I'd love it if you disagreed with me. Just do it.
You mean like those people who keep telling you to keep buying dual lands?
Oh, yeah.
Every single video they make, keep buying dual lands. We promise, guys.
So what I want to do is I want to go through those things and just talk about them. And Bryce is here. I don't know why he's here.
You know, after seeing that this is about Pokemon, I'm not sure why either.
Right. Now, you haven't seen my list.
No.
So, the thing here is you're going to react to them in real time. While you're not a Pokemon TCG guy, you are a TCG guy. And although you don't really buy things specifically to make money off of them,
Nope.
you're pretty good with understanding how the economics of card games work.
Well, yes. Is it busted? Yes. Worth money. Because they haven't banned it yet. Thanks, Oko. You're still worth like $40 even after your standard.
All right, we're like 6 minutes into the video, and I haven't even gotten to the first point. So let's do that. So we're going to go, good thing you should be buying, bad thing you shouldn't be. Okay? And then back. It's easy. First thing on my list, base set cards. Specifically, when I say base set, I mean Hallows, and I mean... you might be going, no duh, for a lot of you out there. One, I'm trying to make this a little more general for people who might not already be skilled collectors in Pokemon. But also, it's not as simple as you think. Specifically, I'm talking about unlimited base set. Not first edition or shadowless. For Bryce's benefit, there are 3 different prints to base set. There was the first edition, and then Shadowless, which was a second print that was actually in some ways rarer than first edition, where the cards are faded, think revised, right? And then there was Unlimited, which there's tons more of, right?
Yeah, thanks, Chronicles.
Yes. I'm specifically talking about Unlimited because you might be asking, why shouldn't I buy first edition or Shadowless? The answer is really, really simple. The money's already been made. For most of that, like sure, they'll probably appreciate a little in value your base set first edition Charizard. It is the
But they already
grail.
Exploded though.
Yeah. The people who bought them 10 years ago made the money. You know? Whereas I feel like unlimited base set is generally more undervalued. The other thing to consider, especially when you're dealing with old Hallows, and Bryce, you can attest to this, condition is everything.
Yes.
Yes. Absolutely. Your card that you've had since a kid, it's got spaghetti stains on it. Your dog took a bite out of it, you know. But it's a Charizard. Yeah, I'll give you 35 cents for it.
Or the kid who draws on his father's tabernacle. And it's just full of paint.
As a kid, my brother and I both had Pokemon cards, and my parents didn't want fighting between us. So they had the great idea that they would mark my cards with permanent marker. So, you know, stuff like that, not worth diddly. I've heard worse stories.
Hey, son, you know how you're not going to lose your car? Just keys the entire door.
The other thing with that is non-English base set stuff is criminally undervalued. It's weird because with Pokemon, generally English is most expensive.
Well, yes, because people don't want to take the time to understand a translation for a card.
Which is funny because with Magic, a lot of the times your alternate language cards get much more expensive because there's such lower print runs.
But also they're far harder to sell, though.
Yes, that is true. But when no one's made any money off of French base set yet, it might be worth it. Okay, next, we move on to a bad thing. Uncut cards. So, for your reference, uncut cards are cards. You know how most card games, but specifically Pokemon, the card curves on each of its corners? Sometimes you'll get cards that aren't curved and have a purely straight 90-degree angle on the corners. Sometimes just one corner, sometimes all of them. And if pulled from a booster pack, they're pretty cool, right?
Public service announcement. Don't sleeve them. You'll just rip your sleeves to shreds.
Yeah, just like collector's edition cards from Magic.
Yeah.
How they're a square.
Yeah. But it's hip to be square, though.
You might be wondering, why shouldn't I be buying that incredibly rare, cool misprint card for $1,000? Well, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. There are these people who buy uncut sheets. So it's an entire sheet of all the cards from a set. Usually the Hallows get their own, and then the rares, uncommons, commons. Each are a single sheet, and then they're just cut. So someone will buy an entire uncut sheet of something, and then cut it themselves, and then sell each card as a super rare misprint card for $1,000 each. The problem here is you have no idea what you're getting. And the fact that you can do that, in my opinion, makes all of them worthless.
Thanks, Magneta Printer. You're my friend.
All right. Next, we are going to go for another good thing. And I'm going to keep this one nice and simple. Generation 4 currently, asterisk. So the rule here that there's a pattern with Pokemon. Because everything comes out in different generations, right? Currently, as we're recording this, Gen 8 just came out, right? Sword and Shield. They suck, but whatever. Some people like them. The generation that's 3 or 4 generations old always spikes in price. So, during the Black and White era, there was a rather large increase in the sales of Neo era and E-Reader era stuff. And then, especially during Gen 6, during X and Y, there was a large spike for Ruby and Sapphire era stuff. What's interesting, the part of that is because there's actually a really nice competitive format for Ruby and Sapphire, because it's balanced. Look at that. But also because those become nostalgia. There's this trough of not old enough to be nostalgic and not new enough to be, I don't know, worth it to buy. It's kind of like in Magic, your sets that have just rotated out, right? They're not cool.
Well, the problem is that they figure out what the 2 broken cards are in the set, and those are the only 2 cards worth anything.
Right. But so often with Pokemon, actual competitive viability has very little to do with worth. It has to do with what Pokemon is it? You know, is it a Charizard card? It's going to be worth something, right? So how it works is, specifically right now, you should be buying Gen 4 and Gen 5 cards because they're next. Gen 4 has been a long time coming. It should have happened already, but Gen 4 right now is criminally undervalued in its cards. So that's that.
Give it a couple weeks.
Yeah, and Gen 5 stuff as well, which is my favorite generation, both in the games and the card game. So I slowly buy up stuff when I can for it, you know. But yeah, all that's undervalued like crazy. Next, on the don't list, we have... I'm not sure which one I want to do. We're going to go with the gacha cards. These are, I don't know, call them what you want. Trap card. Oh, wait, that doesn't work. These are Noob Traps, these cards. There are certain cards out there that, at first glance, if you don't know what you're looking at, and they're especially common in Pokemon compared to other games, you'd think this card is valuable, and they're actually not. The classic example, which is what I'm going to use, is the base set first edition Machamp. At first look, if you're new to collecting older Pokemon, maybe you weren't playing Pokemon back then, or you weren't even born yet, you might say, oh, that looks really cool. I'm going to buy that, right? It's only $100. No! No. That Machamp was given out not as basically a box topper in starter decks. Everyone has one. There are so many of them. It's ridiculous. There are easily 20 to 30 times more of that than any other first edition Hollow. And what's crazy about that is the actual value of the card, I'd say, is like, if you get one in nice condition, is maybe $10. Maybe. Right? On a good day.
Yeah, it's like the Legendary collection that they keep releasing at Walmart for Yu-Gi-Oh! That they still have on the shelf for $40 and wonder why no one's buying it. Right. Fun fact, there's nothing valuable in there.
So, I don't care what time this is that you're watching it. Either you're watching this video when it just went live, you're watching it 2-3 years from now, or 10 years from now. Go on eBay. Search sold listings for base set first edition Machamp. People buy them for tons of money.
For no reason.
Because they think they're rare. Other examples are early base set error cards, like the Vulpix with the HP and the number flipped around. Every single base set Vulpix has that. First edition, Shadowless, base set, and even base set 2. They all have it. And people say, super rare, amazing, misprint Vulpix, $200 for a bulk card.
You mean like all of the old Magic cards that were just horribly miscut?
Yes.
They're still worth only like 5 cents?
Yep.
Oh, look at this high tide. It's off cut.
That's still 5 cents. They all were. Because Wizards R&D was not R&D, quality control was terrible.
Oh, it still is terrible.
Yeah.
Press F in the chat for the guys that got a foil search for Iskanta and the Ixalan, because those were printed on token paper. You know what crimps real easy? Token paper. So your $80 search for Iskanta is probably going to be warped the next time you pull it out of your deck box, and then you get called on for marked cards.
Yep. So next, I have, for good, with a little caveat on this one, Japanese Hallows.
Oh man, the mad. I got bad flashbacks of War of the Spark alternate art foils.
It's not quite like that. So the thing, the caveat here is that some money's already been made on it. Okay, not as much as I think. I think we haven't hit the ceiling yet. Is my point. Mm-hmm. So the thing is, the Pokemon TCG was incredibly popular in Japan, mm-hmm. right? And their pull rates were much higher than ours. Okay? Usually with most of the original sets, you got a guaranteed holo in every pack. Whereas here, I don't know the ratio, is like 1 in every 3 or 4 packs. And also the packs were cheaper. So there are a lot more holos in existence, right? So up until just a couple of years ago, you could take a trip to Japan, walk into any game store, and buy a brick of nothing but vintage Pokemon holos for like $10, and then bring them back over here and sell them as singles for $1,000. Right?
Yeah.
The problem is that market's really started to dry up because you had a bunch of YouTubers hop overseas and buy them, and then everyone knew the secret.
Yep.
But even then, your average holo is 2 to 3 times more expensive for the English version. And I think there are great opportunities still. Personally, I've been able to get lots of, not giant Mandrake cubes or anything like that, but 10 vintage holos, right?
Right.
For $10 to $15 shipped from Japan. There's no way you won't make money on that. So as long as you're careful with which lots you buy, you can still make a lot of money off of that. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you ready for a bad?
Uh-oh.
This one you definitely will be able to relate to. Modern cards. Not modern like the Magic format. I'm talking recently released stuff. In general, because there are a couple factors to it. But I'm going to translate this actually to a hobby that I'm not very familiar with because it's not my thing. But I know enough. Comic books. Okay, there was the golden age of comics and the silver age and all of that. You have these classic comic books from the 30s to the 60s, maybe the early 70s, right? That ended up becoming incredibly valuable, right?
Yep.
The problem is the comic book companies realized that. And they started releasing super special prints. And this one's got an alternate cover. And this one's going to be collectible. And you should buy them now because they're only a couple dollars. And 20 years from now, they'll be worth $1,000. Well, everyone did.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, they're all worthless.
Yep.
Right? That's happening now with card games. An example,
And it's really unfortunate.
I mean, Wizards.
Yeah. Thanks.
Wizards of the Coast. Once the company realizes that what they're selling is a collectible commodity, game's done.
Speaking of the Theros block that we're going back to, they announced we're going to have showcase cards again after we just got done with them with Throne of Eldraine, as that was supposed to be their thing.
Yep.
Why?
Nope.
Like, let that be its own thing. Let that be a special thing and not just something you slam into every set now.
But that's how it works.
It's unfortunate. But
Once they're able to make money off of players who like the bling, they're never going to stop.
Yep.
And the problem with that is as they keep doing special things, they have to keep adding more and more special things without taking them out.
Look, for example, Gold Series, Yu-Gi-Oh! The first set, amazing. Looked very pretty. The second one looked like a giant pile of crap that my Charizard left in my front yard.
Yeah. So, like Magic. Oh, Magic cards were just Magic cards, right? They didn't even have rarities. Well, they
Right.
did in secret, but they didn't have public rarities.
Right.
Well, then they added rarities, right? And then they added foils. You can't take those things out. They're there
Right.
forever.
It's the same-
And then they added mythics.
Yep.
And then they added special cards, and
Promos
specialties
and yep.
and now everything's collector edition this, secret layer this. Sure, some of that stuff's going to appreciate somewhat in value, but it's nowhere going to be near like the returns you'd get if you had bought beta cards and just sat on them back in the day. Right? Mm-hmm. And so, sure, if you're playing the card game now to play it, by all means do that. I think you should play a better card game, just saying. But if it's what you enjoy, I'm not going to knock you for it. But don't buy up all those brand new VMAX cards thinking they're going to be worth something in the future. Because spoilers, they're not. All right. Good thing. Which one do I want to go for? My favorite, actually. My favorite thing to collect. Interesting promo cards.
Yep.
So what I'm talking about is, no, I'm not talking about I went to my locals and I got this card and it has the Pokemon organized play logo stamped on the card.
Yeah.
Those are worthless. I'm also not talking about your Pokemon the first movie special promo cards. Those are worthless. The reason why can be summed up in one phrase: print run.
Yep.
You look at a lot of the original Pokemon promos that people think of. Ancient Mew.
Yep.
In theory, a cool card, but it's been 20 years since that came out. Why hasn't it appreciated in value? Because there are hundreds of thousands of them.
Yes.
But you know what has increased in value? A bunch of other cards you might not think about or will increase in value. I'm talking the promo cards that you wouldn't know about unless you were at the event or you're a huge nerd who does nothing but spend his time on Bulbapedia like I do. I'm talking about promos that were given away as brand deals in Japan. An example that has already gotten value, there was a promotion between Pokemon and Domino's Pizza. We could get a Munchlax and a Snorlax cards. Those cards are both over $50 each now. Right? There are tons of those. You have 7-Eleven cards in Japan. You have McDonald's promos. You have tons of interesting ones. Meiji chocolate promos. All those. And a lot of the times you can get them for pennies.
I'm sorry, you said 7-Eleven, and I immediately thought of the atrocity that's Gen 8.
I have my favorite is there are multiple packs of ones, but my favorite one to collect is a Gen 3 Flygon promo that just has it's just a normal card, but it just has a 7-Eleven stamp in the corner. And I really like Flygon, so I grab those anytime I see them.
How is Flygon a dragon, but Charizard isn't?
Yes. There are tons of others, and I don't want to spoil all of them because some of them I'm in the midst of buying up myself. But find another example. There's this magazine for kids. It was called Craze Magazine. They released a promo. I want to say it was a Skitty. That card's $200 now. And you know who made all the money on it? Not you.
Yep.
All right, so that one's probably my favorite thing. I've got tons in my head, but I'm not telling you guys because you guys don't get to know until I've bought every single copy.
And for all you Magic nerds, just literally look up like anything between arena promos and judge promos. Go buy those, please. There's a Chrome Mox and a Swords to Plowshares that you might be really interested in.
My favorite are back when they did the Junior Series for kids. They did Junior Series promos. I love collecting those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's something that doesn't exist anymore and has an interesting story.
Yep.
If your promo card you're looking at is interesting enough to have a fun fact about it, get it.
Yes.
All right, next bad thing. Low-grade cards. So specifically, we're talking about grading services like PSA or Beckett. Bryce, I'd like to interest you. Would you consider buying this? It's a base set first edition Gyarados. Okay? I'm asking $200. I got it graded by PSA, and it got a 4.
Will you pay my rent for it?
So, I'm going to give you the general rule of thumb. I'm only going to speak to PSA because personally I know them better than Beckett, right? If the card has under an 8, it's not worth it. The only benefit to a 7 or a 6 or anything lower than that's just a meme, right? But a 7 or a 6, sometimes it happens, right? The only value to that is the fact that it's a card that's been marked by PSA as authentic. It's not a counterfeit. That's the only benefit. Should that be worth twice the cost of an ungraded, well-played card? No. It's not even worth the extra $10 to $20 the person paid to grade it. At all. I say, in my personal opinion, I have never and will never buy any graded card that's under a 9. Done. Yeah?
Yeah, for all you folks that invested in your DDS Blue Eyes and your DDS Dark Magicians, just take a minute.
All right, our last good thing, and this is the most obvious one, but if you're not doing this, I don't know what to tell you. Sealed product.
Yes, because A, that's how you support your local or online sellers, and B, then both are happy. You get product, they get money.
And you want to know a secret? Sealed product accumulates value far, far, far quicker than any single. Any.
Rip Violence Vanity.
You name me any Pokemon card, and I'll say, sure, that card might have doubled in value from when it was new, but the box it came out of that you could have just kept sealed, that box is worth 50 times as much as what you bought it for.
Even Magic with Modern Masters sets, those are so hard to get.
Right. And even recent stuff. My best recommendation is, again, that golf we talked about. Buy sealed stuff from in that golf. In the black and white, you've missed the boat, really. They've already quadrupled in value. But right now, X and Y stuff. Buy that X and Y sealed product. Buy that Sun and Moon sealed product before that stuff gets expensive. And sure, you might go, well, it's sure, but it's lame. I want that new Sword and Shield stuff. No, that stuff's not on clearance. All right, we're going to move on now to the final item, and it's a bad. And I might crush some people's dreams a little bit with this one. Remember how we talked about modern cards? You know what you especially shouldn't buy? Modern cards that have been graded.
What?
Yes.
Wait, what?
I'm going to use the classic example. One of the most expensive cards recently out of the TCG. They released the full art shiny Charizard Gx card. Right? It's worth a decent amount of money. But so many times I see people buying up copies that were graded by PSA or Beckett, right? Oh, this Charizard got a 10. I'm going to spend, instead of spending the $100 to $200, I don't know what it's at right now, for it, I'm going to spend $500 for a guaranteed graded 10.
I don't think that's a good thing.
You know what the problem is with that, guys? I'm sorry if I sound a little condescending on this. I just can't believe anyone would fall for this. You know what the problem is with you having that really cool graded 10 Holy Grail card from the modern era? So does over 1,000 other people. In fact, both PSA and Beckett, you can search up and see exactly how many copies of a card there are. And I'm guaranteeing that Charizard that you spent triple what it was worth loose for to get a 10, between all the different language versions and Beckett and PSA, there are probably 5,000 of them at that same grading. And you know what creates value? Demand. You know what's never, ever going to have demand? A PSA graded shiny Charizard GX.
Because they killed off GXs. It's funny.
The reason that cards that are PSA graded are so interesting and valuable are because they're things that weren't appreciated in their time. People used to take their alpha cards and they would play with them without sleeves on the sidewalk. By the time you were done with your cards, the average person's collection looked like one of those dollar bills that they give you. You're like, ew.
Yeah.
That's why a graded alpha card is worth so much that it gets a 10. That's something truly special.
Right.
And the same goes for Pokemon. How many of you out there played during the early days as a little kid and you remember treating your cards like garbage?
Back when you didn't have sleeves, you didn't have like your fancy spin downs like we do now.
Guess what? Everyone did that. How many of you out there, you guys can tell me your horror stories of how you abused your cards as a kid. Bryce, you ever as a kid put a card just in your pocket?
No.
No? Well, you're better than me.
Well, I accidentally dropped one in the toilet, so that's my B.
Right. And the thing is, everyone did that.
It was from the one game from, what was it? I think it came with Capsule Monsters, and, I was in a hurry because, school and all that, and then I actually dropped it in the toilet. I was like, no!
Your future value just got flushed down the drain.
Like a watery grave.
The problem is, with modern cards, everyone knows they're going to be collector's items, so everyone treats them pristine. When the common person off the street pulls a shiny Charizard GX, they treat it like a museum piece. They make sure it gets sleeved, maybe a nice hard sleeve, right?
Yep.
No one's going to damage their shiny Charizard GXs.
Yep.
So your graded copy is not worth any bit more. All right, that's all I got. What do you think, Bryce? Do you think you're going to start investing in Pokemon sealed product now?
No, I don't think I will.
Well, you're going to miss out on all that cha-ching.
That's okay. I don't have to look at that vomit then.
That's all right. You and I are on the real investment.
Why?
No. I was going to actually say something serious. I was going to say Bandai Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Well, absolutely.
Yes, those are absolutely going to go up in value. Buy them while you can. Or don't.
We
Let
missed
us buy
out
them
on
for
Gate
you.
Guardian, though.
Yep. Rip. Yep. That's all I have for you guys today. So please make sure to subscribe, like this video, all that stuff. We have a Discord server, and I'd really appreciate it if you join it, and we can talk about investing in card games, whether it's Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, Magic, Schwartz, Bandai Yu-Gi-Oh!, Webkins, the trading card game. Let's talk about it. And if I'm wrong on one of these things, or if you think there's something else that I missed out on, let me know down in the comments below. We also have Patreon. You can support us there, to help keep these fabulous lights running. And, anything else? Oh, we got a shop. Yeah.
Merch.
Bryce, why don't you remember our shop? You can buy some cool TCG Buzz stuff on our shop. And, I was Jacob, and that was Bryce. And, we're going to leave you with one final plug. The final plug. Check out our Instagram. See ya.
Thanks for listening to TCG Buzz. New episodes can be found on tcgbuzz.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. For box openings, deck profiles, and more, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.